There are several ways to divide light into different zones, and the simplest is to say that light is divided into highlights, midtones, and shadows. In Photoshop, we can process these zones separately. Go to Select, Color Range, and you will see at the top you have Select, and there is a drop-down menu. And there you can see you can select separately the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. We want to target the sky, and to do so, we're going to select the highlights. Using the slider range, we increase the contrast. You can clearly see the selection of the sky. White is selected and black is not. And we also see that the selection is not perfect, but this we will fix in a further stage. We press OK. We use a curve adjustment layer to darken the highlights. Press Alt and click in the mask, and with a black brush we fine-tune the mask. We use a hard brush for it. To go back to the image, press Alt and click in the mask. If we now look in detail, we can see that the sky is very nicely processed. There are no hard edges. Next, we will edit the front of the church. Go to Select Color Range. For the blue gate, we use the midtones. And remember, white is selected, black is not. We move the range slider until we have selected enough of the blue gate. We pay no attention to the rest. And we press OK. And you can see pixels are selected everywhere in the image. We go to Select, Load. We tick the checkbox Intersect with Selection. And now we select the front of the church. We now see that the midtones are only selected in the plane of the blue gate and nowhere else. Using a curve adjustment layer, we edit the gate. If we now look in detail, everything is perfect and there are no hard edges. So let's create a stamp layer. We want to edit the foreground. And to do so, we go back to Select Color Range. And this time we select the shadows. If you want to have a more clear view on your selection, go to Select Preview. There is a drop-down menu, and you choose Grayscale. And again, white is selected, black is not. I move the range slider a bit, and then it looks good to me. I just want the size of the foreground in my selection. We press OK. And now we load the hard selection of the foreground. We intersect. And with the curve adjustment layer, we edit the foreground. In the drop-down menu, there are some presets that can be very useful. We fine-tune a bit with the opacity slider. This is a first step towards the most useful luminosity masks. They are key to black and white fine art processing. Later in this training, we will go into in more detail and we will further divide light, darks, and midtones into smaller zones.